A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to HJN Flying with the Foam's own sequel series known as Super Foam Flying. So for today, we're going to get down to, well, some not so good territory right here. This in particular is a special case. When I talk about not so good, this certainly does seem to be part of the filler. Filler that does support that one structure surrounding this topic. But in any case, we might as well just get this one out of the way here. This is the Zombie Strike Revreaper, one of a number of Zombie Strike blasters that we've gotten in more recent years. But I tell you what, the series has kind of been in hiatus for a while. I just kind of wonder, is this thing truly discontinued, or has the series just lost its unique flair that it has had since 2013? But in any case, I will say that no matter how long that the series has been around for, I mean, as far as I know, 2020 must have been the last big year for the Zombie Strike line as a whole. We got blasters, including the Ghoul Grinder, the Contractor, and then of course there were the Hammer Shot trio, like you can see right up here in the corner pretty much. I got the Splatter, basically, one of the three that were released in 2020, but in 2021, 2022, and onwards up until around today, we have not certainly gotten a lot from it. But this is an example from 2018, one that actually tries to revive a lost concept. Of course, you're probably familiar with flywheel blasters, but this is in fact a flywheel blaster of a whole different kind. Because let's just say, ooh, well, I did not see that coming. Well, anyways, that's just pretty much what that is. If you remember from way back in the day, when Nerf released blasters like the Reactor and the Buzzsaw, then you probably know the Buzzsaw especially was responsible for having its own sort of flywheel design that was manually operated by pulling on a light blue crank in the back, which would allow the gears to spin and therefore the wheels to fly, which would send the balls forward. This is basically Nerf's attempt to try and revive that lost concept that utilizes manually operated flywheels. But let's just say, in this particular case, we have well, this one actually is a little effective in its own right. To simply use this blaster, you have to pull this grip backwards. It'll automatically pull the flywheels forward, and at the same time it'll also engage the pushing mechanism to shove the dart into the flywheels themselves. And so, well, that dart especially, it did get as far as around like 20 feet. And I'll be honest about this. Why on earth would you ever want to have a blaster like this? One, in fact, that does have manually operated flywheels, but the thing is that those blasters had some limitations of their own. They couldn't necessarily get the kind of performance that we could today. I mean, you might as well buy any other blaster that came out in 2018, like the Ruckus, perhaps, because even that one kind of had a bit of a flawed factor of its own, but I still do think that it really does perform. Actually a lot better than what this one really brings us, because there's tons of 2018 blasters to choose from, and the catalog that I actually got from that same year, of which that I still have around with me, just not, well, for me to show you right now, does have tons of blasters to pick from. That's the whole point. And of course there were lineups there at the time like the Doomland series, AccuStrike series, Rebel series, Mega series, all of which are pretty much done for by this point. Mega's kind of been replaced by the XL series, and Rebel and Doomlands has kind of just shut down. Same with the Alien Menace series and other such lineups that we've gotten so far. So the Zombie Strike Revreaper, what I can put into words that are sufficient enough to describe this is just simply put, it's a bit too simple. One that does try to revive a lost concept, one that has been down for almost 2 decades. And by this point in time, if Hasbro were to try and do this again, they probably still wouldn't even be enough just to get it done. And when I can tell you that something like this needs more work done, then you know you have a problem here. You might as well just trash the concept all from the get-go. So a blaster like this did not need to be made. Of course, the clip I have for this is a standard 2012 18 dart clip for the Elite Blasters. Normally, it would come with its own banana-style magazine, almost like that of, well, what I have with the Pulverizer, just in a slightly different molding sort of texture. But in any case, Revreaper just does not necessarily seem to be worth it. If I were to give this one its own scoring, which I feel like I've been lacking on for some time, it would be rather low, much lower than you might expect. So, probably best that I don't even mention it. And so, with that being said, I do sincerely enjoy what I do have through the remainder of my own collection. But I'm still not necessarily sure about what Nerf is still going to try and pull off throughout the next coming years. I mean, we know that in recent years especially, they have done a lot of unique things. They created the Ultra line. It started a lot of controversy, and a lot of people have decided to just crack it open like an egg. Like it really needed to happen. I mean, all these people out there are just gonna straight up say that they should boycott Nerf because of the things that they've been doing in recent years. I might as well boycott them instead and continue with this. Yeah, 2 thumbs up is what I'm always gonna give to Nerf. I hate to say it, but the Revreaper of its own type pretty much had its own sort of unique pieces of it. It's got that signature Zombie Strike sort of flair to it, with all the nice artificial molding that they put together to resemble real-life objects, including tape and chains, and all that good stuff. But in any other case, if you want to see more, go down to my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.